They gotta earn it.
No. And this is my thing: is you have to tie incentives into it too. Otherwise, they get kicked off the program. Actually, I've had Section 8 tenants that are better than regular tenants.
Yep.
I mean, price sale people, dude, they'll fuck your shit up. Even if they're not on Section 8, they're just like, they're angry people. Like, if you kick them out of your house, they'll come back and fuck your shit up.
Yeah, 30
just
days,
because they're that vindictive.
That 30 days to get them out of the building is just that's the worst. That's the worst part of the eviction.
Well, Section 8 people, if they screw up your shit and you got to evict them, they're off Section 8. Yeah. So they're incentivized not to really mess up your shit. But sometimes they just can't help it just because they're just...
Well, you got to do your quarterly inspections, though. You know, you really do. But what is the real problem? The real issue is that these people don't have, like you said, any incentive to do better in life.
They don't. So what you do is you say, look, you're going to build equity. One of the biggest problems with like poor people, especially certain groups of poor people, is they've been kept from home ownership. Mm-hmm. They live in this cycle of poverty, right? And all you're doing is renting to them and just keeping them poor because they can't build equity. And one of the things you're talking about with the BRRRR method is you use equity to do other things.
Yeah.
Well, most Americans who own property, they borrow against that property to do things, to send their kids to college and do other things, right? Most of these people don't even understand how that works in the first place.
Yeah.
So what the government would essentially do is say, look, we're going to purchase this property, but if your kids graduate high school, you get some of the equity. If you go back to college, you get some of the equity. Oh, now you're working as a nurse, you get some equity, right? So they're incentivized to do something. Right now, they're not incentivized to do shit.
Yeah.
They're incentivized to sit in the house and eat Cheetos.
Yeah.
You can't legislate people out of poverty.
No, I don't think
No. But the schools don't teach you anything about money.
No, they don't teach you shit.
They don't teach you nothing about money, about leverage. Like, what's a good return? You know, how do you leverage return?
They don't teach you that stuff because they don't think you're ever going to use it.
No. I think it's because the system that we have needs people to come and work for corporations, right?
They do.
And if you teach all these people to be entrepreneurs, 100 years ago, 80-90% of our country was entrepreneurs, man. We didn't have these big corporations. It was, I'm going to go see Ted and he does this and that. Everybody had their own company. So we were a nation of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And now it's like, that's lost. And then once you get people, now you can control them because you give them the money. Mm-hmm. You control people. Mm-hmm. Can't control you. Can't control him. Can't control me. I don't need money. I'll go out here and then eat grass or something. I don't know. Cows eat grass. I guess they do okay. I'll go eat grass. So it's sad that you get to the point and where somebody feels like this great country where $1,000 or $2,000 a month is good enough for them to just give up on their dreams.
Well, and the hope is that it's not the parents. A lot of times these parents are way too far gone. Like they're too ghetto. They got like the hood mindset, right?
Yeah.
And they haven't been able to break that. There's not that many people like me or you who grew up in that kind of situation that just fucking hated being poor.
Yeah.
Like I hated being poor. I had the same situation as you. My mom.
Hey, hold on. I got one for you. Remember when you were a kid, they were like, the stock market's crashed. You're like, hey, man, stuff feels the same to me.
Yeah, shit changing in my life. That's the one thing about poor people, though. The government, like with food stamps and all that stuff, they know if they give that, it's going to keep the economy. That's like a base level of economic activity in our country is poor people. Because they don't save money, they spend it. They put it to work.
Yeah,
what do middle class and upper class people do? We save money or we figure out ways to invest the money,
and grow it.
And we grow it.
But 57% of our GDP last year was because of government spending, which is bad. Because see, when government takes the money out of the economy, they kill it. They murder it. Mm-hmm. When you take it, you're going to grow it. You're going to put it in an asset that was $100,000. It's now $200,000.
It's called the velocity of money. It's how fast money changes hands and moves around.
Yeah, they kill the velocity when they take it in. When they take it in, they go give it to a job that doesn't produce.
Doesn't do anything.
But for every dollar they take in, that going out to the job that doesn't produce, they lose 40% of the value in administration of the money and all.
Yeah, the government's the worst group of people to give our tax dollars.
Well, they got to spend $6 to create $1 in GDP. Yeah. Think about that. Yeah. They got to go spend $6 to create $1 in GDP. That's horrible.
They had an itemized list of the proposal for what Biden was going to do. I guess it was back in February, and it was like 800 million or something was allotted to this one agency, and I forget who it was. But the administrative cost of that $800 million was something along the lines of like $600 million.
Yep.
So $400 million. Even this new one, the infrastructure bill.
Well, that's why you talk about Section 8. $1,100 voucher probably costs $3,000 because of the admin part.
Yeah.
You think about they're paying $1,100 for this. But it cost them $3,000 to get you to 1,100.
You know, I was doing some research because I'm always arguing with these people who hate religion, right? And I looked into it, and The Economist actually did, because the Catholic Church doesn't have they don't release their information because they really don't have to. They're a country; they do whatever they want.
Yep.
But they actually own, I think it's a third of the hospitals in America.
Wow.
And a giant chunk of the universities, 1,600 universities in America.
Are you kidding me?
So the two things the socialists bitch about the most is healthcare and education, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, we want free healthcare, we want education. Well, if your ass would go to the church and you put money in that damn basket, it would support the schools and the hospitals. Mm-hmm. But they don't want to do that, right? They want to be whatever, anarchists or whatever the hell they want to be. But here's the thing. The Economist did an article, and they said that the church brings in like $180 billion every year. Essentially, $170 billion goes right back out into the church, into the schools, into the local schools too. Each parish supports an inner city school for the most part. A lot of these parishes are in inner city neighborhoods because they were built 200 years ago or whatever. So 97% of the money they collect goes right back out. So the government literally gives the Catholic Church like over $3 billion every year because they're so efficient. 97% of the money that they collect goes right back into economic things and into the society, into the things that we need.
Money, man, you're building.
But they're efficient at spending money. Then what are their administrative costs? Most of the people that work at the church are like volunteers, or they're making barely nothing, and they own all their land. Mm-hmm. It's like probably the most efficient organization, charitable organization. They're the biggest non-governmental
outside of Chick-fil-A.
Outside Chick-fil-A, but they're the biggest non-governmental gift-giving organization in the world.
Wow.
And we got them right here, but they don't talk about it. They don't like go out and boast about, oh, we helped an old lady across the street. Like, and then because they're the church, they're not allowed,
Here's the problem that you have with that, is that you're talking about all this money we have. But when you go to, I'll use the Diocese of Covington as an example. I'm not a fan of the bishop's business sense. So what happens is that you go to church on Sunday and you hear, oh, we need more money for this, we need more money for that, we need more money for this, we need more money for that. And you go, great, I want to give you $10,000, but I want it to go here. And the Diocese of Covington says, no, it has to go through the bishop first, then it'll go there. Mm-hmm. And then it gets kind of lost. It's almost like they've made it into a little tiny government entity where you can't quite trust.
It runs like a government.
Right, but you can't quite trust where it's going. Like, I don't want to pay for the front door of a church I'm never going to go to. I want to pay for these kids down in Covington at a St. Agnes or whatever it is, so that they can have new basketball uniforms.
But I'm just using that as an example of, look, the government sucks at spending money.
Definitely.
They suck so bad at spending money. There's an organization that's been around for 2,000 years that's been helping the poor and doing things. They've got some experience doing this, right? Where our government blows at it because there's so much red tape, there's so much bureaucracy, but people want to take from you. They want to take from me. They want to take from you, Kyle. And they want to give that money to the government just blindly. Like the government
they don't
is their
understand
answer.
Finances,
They don't understand shit.
But how do you get people, when I grew up poor, you got to want it. You got to want to learn. And that's what the whole BRRRR. Look, I bought a single family home in. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, Nate Barger on YouTube, and hit the bell. And you'll be notified on any new videos that come out.